7 o'clock, we're going to start our work session, please. The time is 7 o'clock. We have the agenda of council. Ordinance number 76, 2013. We have a public hearing scheduled for August 29th at 7 p.m., followed by a special meeting. Again, this is the ordinance for the zoning of the church property. Rita, why don't you handle that, please? And that is the second reading. We have resolution number 79, 2013, a resolution appropriating funds for Macedonia Family Recreation Center roof. Dave, do you want to do a second reading on this?
Sure.
We have resolution 81, 2013. This was taken off the July 25th agenda without a reading. This is a resolution confirming the appointment of Janelle Nelenchenko to the vacated position of accounts receivable in the finance department on a part-time basis. Dave, I'd like you to do, pardon?
I'm saying something.
Oh, Dave, I'd like you to do a first reading on this, and Scott had actually spoken to me about this ordinance or resolution, and I told him that there were other persons in the city right now who did not have an opportunity to have their pay increased, but were deserving of it, and I wanted to treat everybody equally. And Jim DiGatano, you have a couple people in your department, I think, that are looking at increases?
Well, just that Sharon, who went from part-time to full-time, and the situation that happened at the time when we asked for a raise, I have to take blame for it because I didn't handle it properly. But I
Well,
knew that.
you don't take
But
blame for it, it was just,
it was something that happened, but she stayed at her part-time rate, and she does do quite a bit more work. I could go get her work.
Oh, that's not necessary now. Mike, do you have anybody who is deserving in your department?
Of course, but.
Well, what I'm saying is that what I'd like to do is, I'd like the department heads to,
Isn't this the mayor's job to figure out what raises are supposed to be given?
yeah, but I'd like council to take a look at it too, because I want to treat everybody equally. So I'm going to do a first reading, and if the department heads could go ahead and email this information, I'd appreciate it. Dave, do a first reading on that. Ordinance number 82, 2013, an emergency ordinance creating section 9151.19 of the codified ordinance prohibiting city-owned land currently designated and or used as public parks, and originally deeded and or donated to the city for recreational, athletic, and conservation purposes for being used, sold, leased, or developed for any commercial activity. This is the ordinance that is proposed by Ms. Darrow. I got a call today from Mr. Barker asking us to only do a second reading. I was also approached by Mr. Molnar asking us to do a second reading. We have a limited amount of time, but I'd like to hear from Mr. Molnar, and I'd like to hear from Ms. Darrow and anyone else who would like to chip in on this issue.
I support the legislation, but the problem I have with it right now is there's already a party that is the ball rolling on something that may or may not be passed. At this point, it's irrelevant. And I feel that they should be grandfathered in if this should pass, so that we can still consider their proposal.
Rita? Do you have any comments?
No. I was just that I was gonna see about us doing a second and third reading tonight.
What's the consensus? Should we do a second and third reading, or how do the other persons feel?
Yes, second and third.
We usually haven't stopped doing readings because people aren't here, but a quorum. I don't know why Mr. Barker wants to hold it off.
Do you think it's because he wants to do?
It may be because of what I stated, but I'd like to make that amendment because I think it's only fair because they've already started that. Again, whether we agree with that or not, I don't think it's fair to just slap them in the face and put this through and tell them they're done.
Well, Ms. Darrow, you proposed this ordinance, so it's your pleasure tonight.
How do you-
If you want to take it to a 2, you can, or take it to a 3. You can make that decision while we're reviewing the other ordinance, but handle that for us, Rita, okay? We're going to go to ordinance number 83.
Mr. Martin,
Yeah. Do you want to do a second or a third?
well, if he's going to go on and amend it, the whole idea is that so nobody can come in and develop that property right now. All right, so
Say yes.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking, do you wanna do it, do you wanna do a second and a third, or just a two then? It's up to you, Rita. This is your
Well,
ordinance.
I understand, but right now, that was never discussed until just now, so.
No, I thought I heard it before. You admitted.
I've never heard it before. Last week, last month when we were here, they didn't discuss it. Did you hear it? No, that's the first time I heard it, so,
Well, in light of,
yeah, what you stated,
Well,
nobody.
that was in reviewing it, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, I would like to do that, whether council supports it or not. I think that's the fair thing to do.
Well, first of all, if you wanna go back to planning, when they came before planning, even our certified planner said he did not have enough information. When you come before planning, our own ordinances have guidelines that you have to come before planning with, and they didn't have any of that. They had an aerial map. So they had no business coming through planning, and they really had no business getting conceptual. I walked away from it, so,
Well, I want to be clear, I support your legislation, but I think it's fair because they already have the ball in motion. Until we have an agreement on that, I don't even know why we're even talking about it, but at this point, I would support your legislation, but I think that they are grandfathered in.
I don't think so.
I think if you're gonna grandfather them in, you have to amend it.
So let him amend it.
Yeah,
So
the
if
way,
you-
Yes or
the
no?
way that Mr. Deaver just wrote an opinion here recently that we all got, it looks like down the road, any council can turn around and change it anyhow.
They can do anything.
So,
That can
that's,
happen with any piece of legislation.
That covers you. That's
So
why you do
introduce it,
second and third.
and you wanna try, if you wanna amend it, and make the amendment, we'll vote on the amendment, and we'll vote on the other.
sounds like we have some concerns about the legislation. Let's just do a second reading. We're coming back to council shortly anyway in September, okay? So Rita, just do a second reading, please. Ordinance number 83-2013, an ordinance amending section 337.18 of the codified ordinances of the city of Macedonia, outlawing jake brakes on motor vehicles operated in the city of Macedonia. I'll do a second reading on that one. We have ordinance number 85, an ordinance amending and supplementing the 2013 annual appropriations ordinance number 21-2013. I'm following the numbers that our council
Yeah.
clerk gave us.
The new,
Where's the new one coming?
84 was passed, and 85 is the new number.
Okay.
It's good enough.
Scott, can you please explain ordinance number 85-2013?
This is supplemental money that passed through. You have a list there, it's the aquatics grant that we applied for and received, $43.50 for the 2004 fishing. The extra $500 we just received. The $9,500 rec center day camp special fees, these are for the special needs kids that came in and they're paid for by their school. And then we have an outside vendor contract with us, so that wasn't anticipated in the budget, so we did receive the money from the schools, and now we're gonna pay her county auditor fees, $211, that's from the fire department. The insurance claims, roof repairs, that's a check we're gonna receive, $75,000 for the total amount of the roof damages of all the insurance claims that we had concerning that windstorm. Now, the State Route 82 Phase 3 paving project, we knew that was coming last year, and that was engineering fees for this last part of the project. And we have $166,000 currently, and we'll have close to $200 at the end of the year with our county permissive tax, and that money is allowed to be tapped in on county roads. So I talked to Steve Bruneau, he's obviously, you know him, he's the county engineer's assistant, and we're gonna go ahead and apply for that amount, if not more, because the South Bedford Road project was, we're able to take that money and use that. So I'd rather, we don't have any pending county road projects, so instead of using our money that we set aside for that, I'd rather apply for that, get that money, and then spend this on the Phase 3 money. So basically, we're gonna have the county pay for that portion of that paving that we did, and then the extra money that we had set aside for originally, spend it on, so there won't be any increase in the budget. And then the $21,000 is our tree canopy grant. That has to be done by December 31st. Tom Rohde's been doing a lot of work towards that. We got trees on order, they're gonna be probably put in September. Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah,
September,
mid-September.
early October. We're gonna have, I forget how many, 80-something trees along Shepherd Road and some other locations.
Are all the trees planting of the trees and the cost of the trees covered by the tree canopy grant?
Yeah.
Tree can, yes.
50/50, and a
50/50.
lot of our manpower we're
Well, then
tracking.
it's not covered by the grant.
Well, we're tracking his manpower, anytime that Tom Rhodey and any assistance that's done by the street department, we're tracking that money, and then we'll recoup those wages from the grant. So that's our in-kind contribution. So if we can have our manpower work, putting these trees out and getting all this stuff done, we won't have any dollar amount out. But it's a reimbursable grant. We have to spend that money first, and then we'll collect it.
So are we spending money on this? I'm sorry, you seem to be saying different things.
Well,
First,
we are spending the money and then we'll get it back. We have to, but as he's making his wages and counting his hours towards it, he's obviously getting a payroll. And then we're tracking those hours, and that's money that's already spent towards that grant.
what I'm trying to understand is everything on the annual appropriations, on this amended appropriation money, is new money coming into the city, or are we spending money?
Well, we're spending some money, but we're gonna recoup it back.
But what we're doing today is all money that's coming in.
Yes.
All right.
Other than, let me finish though, we did receive, and what we talked about that last meeting, the capital emergency signal equipment. Now, we do have the money from the workers' comp refund, and it was for the general fund, $65,000, and that was the last discussion we had. And that's, if you wanna strike that, that's council's decision, and I put it in here, if we're gonna go ahead with that project for that preemptive siren.
I think, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that part-time salaries and wages was a refund from Waste Management when they went on strike and our crews went out there. We calculated the time and materials that it took for us. Deemer was involved in it. We billed Waste Management and we received that check, so we're putting it back into the salaries and wages.
So actually, these are expenditures, correct?
Yes.
And what you're telling us is that we're spending money that we don't have yet.
Some of the money we did have.
Wait, yeah, but, okay.
Which money
I
do you
know
have?
some of the money you're telling
We've already
me that we
received.
do have,
Yes.
okay? But what we're doing here is we're spending money that we don't have, correct?
Some.
Some of it, okay, some of it, that's what I'm pointing out. So, for instance, it says here that we're going to get $75,598 back on insurance claim for the roof repair. How do we know that?
Because that's what the claim was settled on, and that check should be in the mail. We don't physically have it, but we have to pay the vendor in the process of getting reimbursed.
Okay, here's what I'd like done, and if other council likes this idea, but anytime somebody brings something to me and says, we're gonna spend this money, and a week or two, or maybe a month, or maybe 6 months from now, we're gonna get this money back, I would like to see proof of that. I don't have any proof here. What I have here is a numerated list of monies that are to be spent, and quite frankly, I can't make out whether we're going to be, whether we have this money or whether we're going to be getting this money back, or in how we're going to be getting this money back. Because when I take a look at this ordinance, there's no exhibits attached to it, which more or less enumerate all of these expenditures. And for instance, the insurance claim. I'd like to see
An
a
email
letter
from the
that
insurance
says,
company. Sure.
you know, because normally when a claim is settled, you get a formal letter from the insurance company. We have settled this claim for X amount of dollars, and we will be sending you your check.
We have that, right?
We had that, yes. I have an email, if you would, I'll make a copy and forward it to you.
So, but the check will be here in a day or two, won't it? Or
It'll be here when the
It,
payment is.
actually, the way they were talking, they said it would take 2 to 3 weeks
Right.
for the draft to reach us. I got that email almost 2 weeks ago.
So it'll be here within a week.
Shortly.
So, you know, I understand what Ken's saying is we're spending money we don't have and we're not really tracking it.
But we received the aquatics grant money, we received the step outside grants money, the part-time salaries and wages,
We pay you to track it.
right? We
Well,
received the workers'
But we're
comp
spending
refund.
money.
Yeah, the whole thing about it is that if we're going to be presented with an ordinance amending and supplementing the annual appropriations, what we need the exhibits attached to it to show us that those monies are actually going to be received. Because, I like to think that you're correct, sometimes all of us make mistakes, you know, the whole trust but verify issue. But I like to make a fact on my own. So I don't know if we wanna do a first, second, or third reading on this, but Dave, you're the finance chair, I'd like an opinion from you.
I'd be happy with the first reading. I think we also have to discuss the capital emergency siren equipment. I mean,
Did we budget for that?
no, we didn't, and so what we're doing, in essence, is we're buying capital projects for next year without going through the capital process. And so, I'm assuming that since this was John talking about this is his request for capital. But I don't know, maybe next year he has more requests for capital, and we're telling everybody that we have issues with capital for next year. So, you know, I think, I'm not saying it's not worthy, it is very worthy, but I just don't think it's a good idea to be doing capital projects without, in the fourth quarter, so close to the new, when we're gonna do it.
That's not a problem, I'll give you a whole list of, we'll just use the first reading.
Ordinance number 85-2013, first reading, Dave. Ordinance number 86-2013, senior snow removal program. We're gonna maintain the current guidelines, 1, 2, 3. Mike Miller, could you take that for me?
Yes.
Ordinance number 87-2013.
Hold on, time out, Ken.
Yes.
We're on 86.
No, it was 84.
84 was the first one on the second page.
No, actually, no. I fixed your numeration. The new 84 passed last time. I
Okay.
fixed the numeration. So the newest ordinance, the appropriations, is numbered 85, so you go from there.
All right, sorry.
So the next one, the snow plowing is 86.
Sorry, Nick. Josephine explained it to me, so I'm sorry for the confusion. Ordinance number 86-2013. Mike Miller, could you do 3 readings on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 87-2013, an ordinance confirming the final appointment of Brian Bell to the position of part-time firefighter. Mike, could you handle that, please? 1, 2, 3. Resolution number 88-2013, a resolution confirming the reappointment of Joe Blackwell to the Board of Zoning Appeal. I'll take that on 1, 2, 3. Resolution number 89-2013, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with CareWorks USA Limited Disability Management Solutions in order to manage employee leaves under the Family Medical Leave Act. Mr. Mayor, could you please take a few moments and explain that for us?
Betsy has included some information for you. I don't have my iPad open, but it's an attachment. Josephine,
They received the attachment as well.
you received the attachment.
So hold on, it costs $1,250 and then $2 per,
Eligible employee per month. Shouldn't be more than, monthly cost would be less than $200. They'll manage, assist the city in managing FMLA absences and administering FMLA required notifications according to state and federal laws. And Corden is the Society for Human Resource Management. Average cost to defend an FMLA lawsuit is $78,000 regardless of the outcome. According to EEOC, employees who successfully sued for wrongful termination based on an FMLA absence received on average between $87,000 and $450,000 in damages. So they're going to manage what we haven't been doing, and they'll provide the posters and training for the city employees regarding the program. The training will improve the employee understanding of the FMLA qualified absence.
How much is this gonna cost?
Initially, to set us up is $1,250, and then it's $2 per eligible employee, which based on our 1,250 hours, we're looking at $200 a month.
De minimis. Let's go forward here. Dave, why don't you handle that 1, 2, 3? Resolution 89-2013. Resolution 90-2013, a resolution authorizing and accepting a grant in the amount of $500 from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the 2014 fishing program. Mike Miller, can you handle that, please? 1, 2, 3. And then ordinance number 91-2013, an ordinance providing for funding for the 2014 home days. This is a project that Mr. Molnar is very keen on, so Mr. Molnar, you have the floor.
well, basically, we've talked about this in great excess. We budgeted about the same amount of money we did last year for this, and we all agreed early in the year that next year we would push this through, so it's here now, it's gonna give her ample time to get things set up.
We didn't budget 50,000 last year.
Yeah, but the initial budgeting was 50,000. That's what we cut.
But we never did anything because did we take it out of the budget?
No, we put it back in and she used it for the concert, the Children's Day, the,
$50,000 she spent for all that?
I think it was, what did we do, 30?
I would look at it. I don't think that much.
You were in a
Oh,
coma
that's
at the
too
time.
funny.
Final bills, but I don't think it's in there.
Don't tell me you spent 30,000 on concerts.
Let's do a first reading.
I'd like to go agree on that, because it's time and she needs the time to get this thing set up. And like I said, we've agreed on this already. And I've talked to Scott about it, he said it's not gonna affect our budget. And you gotta remember that there's a good chance we're gonna get a lot of that back. I don't know why we keep beating this thing up, it's something for the community, these are good things, I mean, we're finally getting back to getting people together outside of just paving roads and putting trees in.
Nick, you wanna take it 1, 2, 3?
I did.
Okay. Nick is gonna take it 1, 2, 3. The only thing I wanted to mention was, also, is that, I guess in your packet, there's a July 17th letter from a number of residents concerning the recreation center. And I do believe that each of us received a response dated August 16, 2013 from Angela that you provided them. I did want to point out that there was a comment made, I believe it was to you, Rita, that somehow council was working to give the YMCA control of the recreation center. That reportedly was made by a member of the recreation center, and that is totally false. In fact, it was council that really led the charge against the YMCA taking over the recreation center a few years back. That issue is effectively dead. There's no plans for that at all. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is that we've had problems with our iPads. Mine hasn't worked. I've had a heck of a time with it. I know other people have too. I would like a letter of explanation from Incom, from John Lorenzo, concerning this matter, because I really don't understand what's taking place here. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
Just that I'm looking for a long-term solution to the left turn onto the I-271 ramp. And we have been having meetings with ODOT for quite some time. At our last meeting, they said they weren't going to open up the ramp. Then I got a phone call saying that they were. The long-term solution this city needs is not to open that ramp, it's to relocate that ramp. So ODOT, and I gave you a copy of the letter, said stop the study. So now we're gonna resume the study, and ODOT's gonna wait until that study is completed.
What study are we doing?
We're doing a traffic study, Dave.
In the entrance, which is
Is this a new traffic study?
No, it's been ongoing, ever since that road was closed. And we needed a traffic study at that time, and I guess it takes them a year to do a traffic study, so it's about ready.
I have a question. When you did the traffic study the last time, then the traffic study was done and then it went to ODOT and then that's how the road, the ramp actually got closed?
No, they never got the traffic study
All
to
right.
this point.
I thought that was the only way we could
No.
at the time, was
No.
for them.
The mayor said, we have too much traffic, we need help, and they closed the ramp for us because of Highland Road being closed. Then when Ledge Road was closed, I said, I need help, and they gave us help and kept it closed. Now that Ledge Road is open and Highland Road is open, they would like to open it, and I want to resume negotiations for relocation rather than to just allow it to opening, and somebody's gonna get killed there. And the blood will not be on this city's hands, because we're taking a stance that we are predicting there absolutely will be an accident there. And that's by my staff of professionals.
I tell you what, we've got about 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Why don't we all just adjourn and take maybe a little break, and then 7:30. Thank you.
Suicide is my only